without waiting anymore, we'll start now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of BITS-TEC Innovation Series that spans across various aspects of innovation management, along with the technology development journey of innovators through the case studies on design, development, and deployment of innovations. Today's session, themed Innovate, Patent, Commercialize, the AI Advantage, will explore the transformative role of AI in innovation, intellectual property, and the journey from lab discoveries to marketable products. Our distinguished speakers will share insights from their diverse expertise covering regulatory challenges, patenting strategies, and commercialization pathways. Before we begin, I would like to request Dr. Deepak Chitkara, coordinator of BITS-TEC, to elaborate on the initiative by DST, and then Rajneesh sir can talk about the innovation series, one of the activities that we do under this program.
Yeah, thank you, Anshul, for setting up the pace, and thanks to the speakers of the day, Pranay and Shalini, whom I know pretty well, and we met at different occasions. And really, it's an honor for us to have you onboarded today for this talk. And again, Professor Vicky was our own faculty who is doing really great in this particular area of AI and particularly looking into the cognitive neuroscience. So it's an honor for me to have all the speakers over here, esteemed speakers. It's a privilege for me to introduce BITS Technology Enabling Center, which has been established by the support of Department of Science and Technology, the Technology Translation and Innovation Division. So these technology enabling centers has been established in various states. So currently there are 22 technology enabling centers across India. And for the state of Rajasthan, the task has been given to us at BITS Pilani to create an ecosystem for technology development. And when we talk about the ecosystem, there are many components which come into the play. The academicians, the R&D institutions, the industry, MSMEs, startups, incubators. So all these play a major role. They have their own goal, they have their own channels to components to fill in this particular ecosystem. Now when we talk about any technology, if the technology has to see the light of the day, it has to cross multiple steps. Rather, in fact, multiple steep steps it has to take. And without partnering, it may not be possible. And there comes the role of these technology enabling centers. That can we connect all the dots at the right time, in the right fashion, so that these technologies could be converted. So that task has been given to us by the Department of Science and Technology, the Technology Translation and Innovation Division. And then all these 22 centers, they also are in connect with each other. So any technology that is being developed in any other state also and may have a use in Rajasthan or vice versa. So if technology is lying over here and may have an application, if you go far down to Tamil Nadu or Kerala, so can we have the application over there? So that is how this entire ecosystem is being built up. And as I've said, without partnering, it may not be possible. So we have partnered with various industries, industry associations, incubators, IP experts to achieve these goals. Apart from that, we have also partnered with institutions like Vivekanand Global University, Jaipur, MNIT Jaipur, Central University of Rajasthan, Ajmer, Maharana Pratap University of Agriculture and Technology, Udaipur, and then we have Bikaner Technical University, Bikaner. And beyond these also, we are looking for partnering with other institutes, colleges who can join hands with us to achieve the mandate of Technology Enabling Center, which is set forth by the DST. The aim is to connect all the dots which are involved in the translation of research to commercialization. So with this, I thank everyone once again, and I invite everyone to be a part of this exciting journey, where every step is a leap towards a future where technology is not just advanced, but is meaningful, and innovation is not just celebrated, but is impactful. And finally, where ideas are not just born, but they are empowered to transform the world. So with this, I thank everyone, and I look forward to hearing our esteemed speakers. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Deepak. and for rightly putting up these words that collaboration is the key for taking innovations from ideation to commercialization and deployment. Just to brief the participants about Innovation Series, this is a flagship program where we conduct different programs under this Innovation Series. The main idea of this Innovation Series to cover various topics under innovation management. These could be on product development, these could be on marketing, these could be how ideation could be done itself on technology readiness level, which we have done previously. Today's session is based on intellectual property rights and how artificial intelligence is totally changing the landscape of intellectual property and how innovation is now being conceived. What are do's and don'ts and what are the things that one need to take care about patenting, about innovations related to intellectual property. So this is today's series. And as mentioned, please do join us regularly and visit our website at BITS-TEC to look into various programs that we do under Technology Enabling Center. So with this, for today's session, I request Ashil to introduce our speakers of today's session, first session.
Thank you, sir, for the great introduction. So today we will learn how to navigate complex regulatory landscapes and leverage AI for impactful commercialization with insights from our speakers. So we have a great panel of speakers today. Two of them happen to be the founding members of Menezes, Gaonkar and Associates, and another one is a faculty at BITS Pilani Goa campus and a founder of Evo Reality. So introducing the speakers for the first session of today. Mr. Pranay Prabhu Gaonkar is a founding partner at Menezes Gaonkar LLP with over 18 years of experience in patent prosecution and IP protection. Previously, he served as an associate VP and head of IP region India at Siemens. Specializing in AI/ML, cloud computing and industrial automation, Pranay has drafted and prosecuted over 350 patent applications globally. Dr. Shalini Sitaraman Menezes, a former physicist turned IP attorney, has more than 15 years of expertise in patent valuation, filing, and prosecution across US and India. As a founding partner of Menezes Gaonkar LLP, she provides strategic counsel on IP protection, emphasizing its valuation and monetization potential. So, today both of them will be elaborating on the topic AI and patents from idea to asset. Welcome, sir and ma'am. The floor is yours. Pranay, sir, you're on mute.
Yeah. So now I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
I'll share the screen to proceed with the presentation. So I'll go with the first part. So let me know when the screen is visible. And also if there is a glitch, just let me know because in sharing the slides, then moving to the next slide.
We can see the screen.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking at the BITS Technology Enabling Center's Innovation Series. Today, I will be covering the first part, that is how AI and patent go together. What are the myths that you have, and I will try to break them because that's where I think the trick is. And the second aspect, my colleague Shalini will talk about on the commercialization of the AI-based patents and so on. So coming from the artificial intelligence as by itself, I would say artificial intelligence has a long history, almost around 60 plus years, where artificial intelligence was more of a theory that needed a platform to be executed to create wonders. And we are 60 years down the lane. And that goes with the quote from Albert Einstein. He once quoted that if we knew what we are going to do or what we are going to achieve, would it called a research? So it's a long way that has gone into the artificial intelligence related research. And it was not the US or Europe was the first, the Japanese were the first one to invest or have funds into the artificial intelligence, if I'm not wrong. However, the artificial intelligence, what people perceived in 1960s to today is different, because today we have data, we have platform, and we have people who can use it. The reason because everybody has at least one device who is accessing the internet, right? And capable of consuming the data, requiring more insights, patterns, or decisions or actions, recommendations, and so on and so forth. Everybody looks for more information and smart information. So today's artificial intelligence can be simply put as, in a generic way, a model trained to perform the complex tasks. Versus somebody in 1960s thought about a model trained to perform human tasks, having human intelligence. But today, artificial intelligence is capable of doing things which even ordinarily human cannot do if given an opportunity. From that, we see that, okay, it is rapidly growing also in the last 7-8 years, if I want to mention. And it is going to impact every sector of the economy virtually, going to impact. It's not yet impacted. So that is an opportunity for everybody who is listening to Innovate. So if we look at the different sectors that artificial intelligence is slowly getting into, where people are accepting it, there is an acceptability from the provider side as well as the consumer side. It is with respect to the healthcare domain, where it is making the radiologist's job much smarter by identifying, for example, cancer-related or tumors into the images that are captured via MRI. People already started, or the companies already like GE, Siemens, and others already started making products into this domain. Manufacturing, definitely, there are industries operating without connectivity to the internet. Now the industries are slowly getting connected to the internet via IoT and so on. But what are you going to do with the data is to process this data and provide insights in real time. You have digital twins, you have simulation models, and also the simulation models sometimes make use of the AI to derive insights, and definitely other types of simulation models exist, but it's also includes AI. Then the transportation comes, the supply chain, where how to track your goods, how to find there are difficulties in transportation, or whether it is coming to the public transports and so on and so forth, whether it's on a traffic light system. I remember I worked in 2016 on a traffic lights management using edge device, which used AI. And it was pretty successful. It was deployed in Hanoi, Vietnam. But till then, there are a lot of improvements. Now, Bangalore Traffic Police is trying to implement such a thing to avoid congestions. So this is the example. Finance, banking, as you can see, every day there is something new app coming. There are new insights coming. So that is where finance, fintech, and banking is consuming AI. Information technology everywhere, right? Wherever you think that, okay, your devices are connected, augmented reality, virtual reality, wherever there is a data processing, an analysis of the data to suggest something, to find patterns, to make predictions. And now we have Gen AI, which generates content too. Yeah, on the left-hand side, I mentioned machine learning, artificial, and Gen AI. Those are the pretty broad level types, categories where things started impacting. Machine learning for something, artificial intelligence general for something, and generative AI is for something. So that is where the broad categories. There are many, everybody is naming their own AI tools, AI models with the different names. It's getting confusing with which one to use. But I think it will take a little bit, half a decade or even couple of years to settle down where we know what is working and what is not working. But almost everything that technically exists today can be transformed using an AI. This would not be an exaggeration looking at the pattern for the last 7-8 years. So I would like, when it comes to patents, right? So ideally jumping back to from AI to the patent would be a mistake from my side, having practicing in 20 years in this field, and mostly with the software patents. Even people who are working day in and day out on the software, they ask, okay, is software patentable, or can software be patented globally versus India versus Europe versus US? So I want to burst that myth that, okay, software can be protected through patents, provided the software is used to solve the technical problem and produces a technical effect. Now, every jurisdiction or country had the difficulty to accept it. And it happened over a period of time where even India is now ready. I have prosecuted around 300 plus patent applications for telecommunication measures, mostly into the software and other EV vehicles and other stuff. I could not recall a single patent being rejected because it is a software. And this is not an exaggeration, this is a fact. Now coming to the acceptability through the court decisions, the Delhi High Court in the Farid Alani's case versus the Controller General of Patent held that if the invention demonstrates the technical effect, it would patent eligible and not part under Section 3K of the Patent Act. Now, Section 3K talks about computer programs per se cannot be protected. The software code per se means it's not the logic or the outcome and so on, having a technical effect. Madras High Court in the Microsoft case this month reiterated, saying that results in the technical effect that improves the system functioning and efficacy, effect on the hardware, provides a technical solution to a technical problem would not fall under Section 3K. Now, technical solution, technical problem. When we talk about hardware, software, AI, they are all technical in nature. Mental X, for example, I want to go to the moon. I don't know how to go is not technical. But if I'm saying, okay, I am making a vehicle or a satellite to go to the moon or do X and Y, that is technical. So technical is an opposite of abstract in the patent language. When we are saying technical effect, it need not be a significant technical effect. We are only saying that there should be a technical effect, a technical advancement. You are solving a technical challenge, right? Like high performance, high speed, processing large amount of data, training the AI for doing something is technical. Software for presenting information in a particular way, which was not possible earlier, right? Provided it does some analysis. It's not just mere presentation of information. And hardware can be the hardware that exists, basically. It may not be a new hardware. The hardware can be a laptop, the hardware can be a mobile phone or the smartphones. The hardware can be a cloud computing service. Only the software that changes its way of operation, what it provides, how fast it provides, and how it processes the data, and so on and so forth. Just some examples, but anything that you see is doing something different than the previous one, providing something better, right, should be eligible for a patent. And that is where we talk about the technical effect. Now, going further into the United States, around 63% or 63.5 to be precise, percentage of the patents that are granted, that means allowed by the US Patent Office, out of the 100% are software. That doesn't mean that 2/3 of the patents filed, we can derive the analogy safely, is 2/3 of the patents that are filed are related to software. Now, why I'm talking about the software will be clear in the next slides, but unless we clear in our mind and say to everyone whom we meet and say, okay, software is patentable, I want to see it as an answer rather than a question. And I still see it a question in the minds of people because of a lack of awareness. And Europe is one being the strictest among all the jurisdictions when it comes to software. There also we saw that 50% around, and Europe being mainly focused on the mechanical related invention, the cars and machineries and electricity transformers and distributions and so on. We see that 50% of the patents granted by the patent office. Granted is very important because filing anybody can do. Getting a grant in European Patent Office is challenging. But however, 50% of the patents that are related granted at the European Patent Office are software. The other 15% may come from chemical, pharmaceutical, mechanical, biotechnology, and other sectors. And that is where I want to connect, saying that the AI model is nothing but resides as a part of the software somewhere in the end-to-end value chain, which is run on a hardware. And that is why it is safe to assume or even believe that the AI-based patent inventions can be protected through patents, provided there is the AI is trained to solve a technical problem and produces a technical effect. Now, technical effect is easy here because AI analyzes certain things. It does certain things in an intelligent way. It does not just output what the data you have inputted in a processed format. And hence the technical effect thing gets more easier with the AI model compared to any and every software. For example, a software for providing a loan or number of people who are trying to, provide the insurance is difficult to prove the technical effect compared to an AI model, which automatically tries to determine the needs, preferences, their past history, and identify who can better provide you the insurance, for example. So, having said this, now we need to. I'm presenting you with some examples, and I picked up these examples of technical problem and technical solution from the patents that are granted in the period of 2022 to 2024, especially to the universities, startups, and individuals. I left out corporates on purpose here because I think we need to believe that the universities, startups, and individuals have also started filing a lot of AI-based patents in India, and they have been granted. And here are some of the examples. So if you look at the first one is that detecting the infection affecting the plants. This was the problem, and that is how people didn't know what kind of insect or pest it is affecting the plant, its leaves, and so on. But then somebody filed a patent and they got a grant for detecting a plant disease based on a deep learning model, feeding the images and identifying the parts of the plant and type of the insect or the pests, and then what kind of the medicine that to be applied, and so on and so forth. The second one is to radiologically assess the biological and structural maturity of an immature patient, maybe a bone deformity. And the patent that was granted was related to the bone health assessment using artificial intelligence, where it accesses a large amount of the database to identify the kind of a deformity and classify it and the treatment and so on. The third one is adjusting the luminance according to the ambient condition. Normally you have heard about, okay, the lights can vary its luminance based on the ambient conditions, but the artificial intelligence was smart enough to take care of that individual who is sitting in that ambient condition and adjusting the luminance as per the preference or the settings that he has used in the past, and so on and so forth. And it also becomes complex when there are three people in a living room, for example, and everybody knows this. So the text extraction from the different file formats, including the multilingual files, was another problem that was solved, and the patent was granted to extracting text from a file, particularly in different file formats, irrespective of the file formats and the language that is used using artificial intelligence. The second last was related to the real estate, where the leads were generated, people were ready to site visits, but somehow the leads get lost. So how to track this life cycle of the leads, basically from the leads generated to the flats or the apartments, real estate things sold. That was the productivity announcement for the sales management in real estate using artificial intelligence. The last one was based on the attendance system, very much important for the classrooms. and particularly how to recognize based on facial features and other related topics. And that was done using the machine learning. So these are the patents that are granted in the period of 22 to 24 for the university startups and individuals in India. And there are many more examples. You can see, Google, you can use Google patents to, if you want to learn about, okay, how patents are being filed and what information it is there and so on. Although I will show you one example. And we see that, okay, and the trend, what I want to present here by the companies all over the world, published by www.qz.com, is that the companies like Tencent, Ping An, Baidu, Alibaba, ByteDance, DDK Electronics are also filing patents. That means there are new entrants in the markets, significantly higher than what Microsoft and Alphabet, Google, that is Google, also including Google, Samsung, IBM does. And this is where the things are changing, that you can also try out protecting your AI concepts for the application that you think it is valid. It need not be a product, and you can always protect your ideas and the concepts using the AI for giving a better solution. So I think as an individual, as an ecosystem, startup, whoever, it is always about the first mover. And when it comes to the first mover advantage, it is about AI or AI model. Normally, the technologists are a fan of, okay, I'm using the AI model, which is much better than the previous one, but the competition does not work like that. When it comes to patent, it is always about, are you the first one filing a patent for that AI? Definitely, you can go deeper and say, okay, I'm using deep learning, deep Q networks, reinforcement learning, or generative AI, LLM models. You can say that. But you will get a broader coverage against all type of the AI that anybody is using for such an application. If you are the first mover, you are the first one to identify that, okay, such an AI can be used for such an application, for providing such a information, decision making, action, and so on, or content. So important here is to identify an area, a need, or an opportunity, then trying to develop a solution which considers all elements of the ecosystem, not just the AI. It's like, okay, where is going to fit, how the input is going to travel to the output, and how the output will be consumed. The entire life cycle of the process has to be set, defined, and then you validate. And this is all on the paper, okay? And then you validate whether we can protect it. We are not talking about designing or prototyping and so on, but first protect your solution via patents. Whether it works, not works, I think that comes later, because you can always change models and you can always train the different way. What you are protected is an application or an ecosystem which uses AI for a particular area or a need or an opportunity. It all matters when it comes to protecting is, are you the first one on this planet to apply AI to this application or to the system or to this data and so on and so forth. Now, what are the ingredients needed for patenting AI/ML? I would say that is where we need to look broadly. It's not the AI/ML model all the time. The patents are because if you just focus on, for example, a deep Q network, today people are using it. If you are focusing on the deep learning or one particular example of deep learning or model of deep learning, Tomorrow, somebody may come up with a different model, use the same application, and try to train your model based on that application and then give the same or the different result. Your patent would not hold value. That is why the first mover advantage is important. It is not about the AI model, but it is about the capability that you believe in the AI model to do something. But there are also other elements that are required before you just say that, okay, I want to protect this. Because there is pre-processing of data if you are getting the raw data. So you have to ask yourself, can I feed the raw data to the AI model, or I pre-process it? Maybe using another AI model or ML model. You also have post-processing because AI model tells probability, but how do you consume the probability into something which user understands, system understands, post-processing. And there is also a training data set, how you train a particular open AI model or open source AI model to the AI model that does that functionality for you. Maybe a definition of the training data set. How you define the training data set, how you define the stages of training, and how you kind of encapsulate it in order to get the output that you need. Now, whether it will be error-free or not error-free, I think that comes much later into the life cycle. Although in our startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurship ecosystem, we try to start thinking about, okay, the outcome first and then about the patent. Ideally, it should be in the US. If you look at some of the startups, they don't go ahead with anything unless they have a patent filed on it, right? So what we need in what you need to give to a patent attorney or an agent when you are talking to them is the components, the application, details of how the stages or data types and other stuff, and how the AI ML works basically end to end. No prototype is required. And also you need to consider not just these 4 boxes, but the whole ecosystem. For example, where it is going to be used, how it is going, there will be interplay with the people, who are using it, input and output both ways, right? Where this AI model will be sitting and all this stuff. So maybe end to end, how you are, as if you have to think that I am going to sell this tomorrow or license this tomorrow to someone. Although it may not make much that we will restrict it to these components, but you need to think about it because then it makes a good, solid approach. So this is one of the sample AI patent which I picked up, which was granted in 2024 to an individual in the US, where it talked about how the artificial intelligence expert system can be used for giving the warnings about dangerous driving and also controlling. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, I'm talking about the entire end-to-end, how these components interact with each other. And they are not only focusing on the AI part. AI is one component of the electronic control unit or EECU in a vehicle, but there are also other components comes into picture. So you need to see when you're preparing an application or invention or an idea or a concept, think about all the components that are interacting with each other. Although those components may be not new, they are working this, maybe interacting, they have the communication channel which is there, but they are operated or controlled differently using AI. Plus, there can be more input data and output data and so on and so forth. So there may be many such examples are there, but I would like to say that it is the opportunity. I stopped saying the problem solution approach. Maybe from a research point of view, it is true, but from a business point of view, it is an opportunity versus an offering. So almost 5 years back, I said, okay, we launched a 4I approach, that is the idea, IP, innovation to impact in a corporate. And there we said that, okay, think about opportunities rather than the problems, because problems are very specific. Opportunities does not always include a problem. And then what you are going to offer. And then you say that, okay, if I have an opportunity and what I'm going to offer, how I'm going to enable this using AI. Is it possible or no? Yes, no. And then figure out the other components. Right. This is a bit of a tip to see from a mind thing that wants to do something with the AI to a mind that gives protection to to the point that it gives protection to your idea, and then it will be used for the betterment of the society and so on and so forth. So in conclusion, almost everything that has an application can be transformed using AI. However, it's more important to be the Elon Musk or Steve Jobs who takes the courage of the first mover, or Jeff Bezos, through broad protection of the use cases. And we need to feel that, okay, all AI inventions are granted patents in all major countries. No prototype is required, no MVP is required, right? Rather, if just a concept with a little bit of how is sufficient. Whether it will work or not is also not required. And believe me, in India, patent can be obtained in less than a year's time because of these expedited examination and so on. If you want to get it faster, versus 3 years in other countries. Yeah, definitely there are other countries also having different approach, but India is in a bit of fast track mode, especially for the women entrepreneurs, the startups, and other categories. With this, I would like to conclude my talk on patents and AI protection and hand over to my colleague Shalini Menezes for the further aspect. Once you get a patent, what do you do with it?
Thank you, Pranay. That was a very enlightening talk. And some of what I talk about is going to touch on what Pranay has spoken about. So there is a continuity. I'm probably dating myself with this statement, but in this early 80s, when you opened the newspapers, all you read about, all you saw on the front page was smuggling, gold biscuits being smuggled. And I used to be fascinated with that as a child because, gold biscuits and biscuits made of gold would probably be tastier than your Mari biscuits. But as I grew older, I realized what was the import behind gold biscuits. But if you look at, I won't say open newspapers anymore because we don't do that. But if you're reading the news, any news website these days, what is the one thing that is being protected, that is being stolen, that is being bartered, being traded? Every website we open, every game we play on the internet, all of that is using data, right? So the new gold of this this current generation is data, and that data needs to be protected. So to put things in perspective, if I want to give you an idea of how much data are we talking about, are we talking of 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte, 50 gigabytes? I'm talking of 1 exabyte of data being generated every 2 days. It's probably now every 1.5 days. This was 5 years ago when it was every 2 days. 1 exabyte, that is 1 followed by 18 zeros. We're looking at that much data every 2 days, right? And that data comes in the form of your, of course, intellectual property, your patents, your designs, copyrights, trademarks, all of that. Also your research publications and the WhatsApps you send and the selfies and the Instagram and Snapchat, all of that, the games you play, all of that comprises of this data. And so we have moved now towards protecting data, right? We have to think of IP, intellectual property, and data as an asset. And just how we used to protect gold in the earlier days, we have to look at protecting these now. Right? And protecting does not mean just put it under lock and key and put it in the safe deposit vault. But protection also means that we need to be able to leverage it, right? It is an asset. Gold was an asset. Land is an asset. Gold still is an asset. I shouldn't say was. But in the same way, intellectual property and the data that it protects, all of that is an asset. Now, when we are talking about AI, right, this beast took the world over by storm when it came out in 2022 December. And we have gone through so many versions and iterations and so many AI tools that are coming in. And Therefore, it follows that we must now think about protecting this. So, as I was saying in the previous sentence, protection does not only mean putting it in a safe deposit vault, but protection also means that we need to be able to leverage it like any other asset. You would not let your land be lying like that without doing anything to it. At some point on a rainy day, you would want to sell it, you would want to build something on it, you would want to lease it out. Something should be done with it. And it is the same with data. More so with intellectual property assets because these things have a finite lifetime, not only in terms of the statutory 20 years that is given by the patent office, but also in terms of the newer technology that is arising every other day. If you're looking at AI driven patents, we are probably looking at a much shorter life cycle than the 20 years that is granted by the patent office. So let's talk about how to commercialize these, how to view them as an asset, change our mindset that these are just tools, right? Then they are, of course, tools that help us in doing something. But now let us look at them as a box you would find in a store with a price tag on it, right? And as Pranay was talking about, he spoke about hardware patents and software patents. I'm going to add an application specific patent to this mix. Okay, so what am I talking about? Like, first we have, of course, we have hardware patents, and these are all about the physical technology that make AI work faster and more efficiently. Think about specialized processors that companies like Google and NVIDIA have created, right? Google has tensor processing units, NVIDIA has GPUs. These are designed specifically to handle the heavy lifting of AI computations, right? Because AI, so every session of chat that you have with AI, right? A whole conversation, say about 15 minutes, that you have with Chat GPT consumes about 10 liters of water, right? And that's a lot. So it is, and I'm not even going into carbon footprint and all that. So there is heavy lifting that happens when AI computation is taking place. And these pieces of hardware that Google has, NVIDIA has, they allow the AI models to process massive amounts of data in record time. Right? You have experienced it yourself now. And the patents behind them protect the unique technologies that make them so powerful. So that is hardware patent. The second thing we have is the software patent. Now, world over, we hear that algorithms cannot be patented, right? But as Pranay has talked about, that he has not seen a single software patent that is not granted, because these patents are the ones protecting the actual brain power behind AI. So the trick lies in how it is drafted, how it is presented, what is the language that the controller is hearing, right? Things like unique algorithms or data processing techniques. For example, if you have developed a new neural network architecture, or a better way for machines to understand language or recognize image, you'll want to patent that, correct? So it can be tricky to patent software in some places due to what the act sounds like, but then these patents are the key for companies looking to secure their name in the AI space. And lastly, the one that I'm going to add to this mix is the application specific patents. Right? These are focused on how AI is applied in certain industries. You have self-driving cars, you have healthcare, finance, and we just saw the list, right, in detecting plant diseases in plants, what is water quality, and so on. So, for instance, patents covering AI tech used in autonomous vehicles or AI driven diagnostic tools in healthcare, they are critical. We know they are critical. Why? Because they protect how AI is being used to transform these sectors. And these patents, they give the company a stronghold in their industries, right? The company makes a name for itself, as Theranos was trying to do. As AI continues to reshape everything from how we drive to how we diagnose plant diseases to how we diagnose our own diseases, how we monitor ocean, the weather or the parameters in the ocean and marine environment, all of these. So, in a nutshell, there are three types of patents: hardware and software algorithm and application specific. And these three together form the building blocks that protect and drive the advances that we are seeing in AI today. But these come with their own challenges. These come with their own challenges, right? What are the challenges that AI, the patentability of AI would come in, right? So first, there is the issue of patentability of algorithm, right? We know, we just talked about it. It's not always, algorithm is basically the brains behind AI. But the tricky part is in many places, you cannot patent an algorithm, including India, because it is considered an abstract idea. Again, to go back to what Pranay was saying, technical is the opposite of abstract according to Patent Act. And algorithm then falls in the bucket of abstract idea or a mathematical formula. Some countries like US, they are more flexible when it comes to software patents, but places like Europe, they tend to be far stricter. They won't grant a patent if they are convinced that it is just a set of instructions or a process for doing something on a computer. And so people who are drafting the patents, right, like Pranay and myself, we have to get creative. Sometimes you have to patent the way the algorithm interacts with the hardware, or we have to talk about how it solves a specific technical problem to get around these restrictions. So that is patentability of algorithm. The second challenge that we have in this commercialization area is patent thickets. What are thickets? As you can imagine, it means a growth, a large growth of something. So patent thickets, now AI is an incredibly complex field, right? So many layers of technology stacked on top of another. It can be very hard to figure out what is already patented and where the gaps are. So this leads to something called as overlapping patents. It's exactly what it sounds, overlapping, that their scope is overlapping. Now, you may think you're developing something new, and every inventor thinks that. But there is a good chance that a part of what you're already working on is already patented by someone else. Then it becomes like a legal maze. You have to navigate through it. You don't want to step on somebody else's patent. You don't want to accidentally infringe. That can be tough, which is why it's a good idea to first do a patent search and get legal advice to make sure that you're in the clear before you go into filing the patent. And finally, and this is a problem that is, the solution is in no one's hand, it is that there are global variations in how patents are handled. What's allowed in one country is not allowed in the other. US is, like Pranay said, 63.5% patents for AI. US is obviously far more lenient on granting patents for software and AI related inventions, while Europe tends to be more conservative at 50%. I would say India is even more conservative. And then there is China, which is trying to push hard and shove everyone out of the way and lead the AI race. But everyone's standards are different, and they all focus more on practical applications of AI rather than the abstract concepts. Because abstract concepts, let's face it, belong in research publications. So if you are trying to protect your AI innovation internationally, you need to be mentally prepared for different legal frameworks in each region. That means you may get what you get in the US, you may get a patent granted. It may not be enforceable in Europe or China, and vice versa. So, in the end, navigating the patent landscape in AI can be quite challenging, but it is essential that if we want to protect our innovations and we want to avoid legal pitfalls, we have to understand these hurdles and find creative ways to secure protection for what we have built. Right? Together, we have to find that. Now we come to the crux of the talk, which is commercialization pathways for AI patents. Like I said, we need to get out of the mindset of viewing patents as just a certificate on our wall or on our website, and look at it as something that we can take, put it across the counter, put a price tag on it. Somebody else can say, okay, I can borrow it for some time and pay you this much. I can buy it from you, or let's work together. So there are a number of options we have at our disposal. Let's talk about, there are many more, but let's talk about the most common ones, right? Licensing, selling patents, and joint ventures. let's see how they work. So licensing is like how you have your regular licensing. This is where an institute or a company that owns an AI patent, you give other companies or other players the permission to use your patented technology in exchange for a fee. Now, this licensing can be exclusive, which means only the company that you are giving it to has the right to use it, or it can be non-exclusive, which means there can be multiple players all employing that technology, all licensing it out from you. With exclusive, just remember, with exclusive, when you give someone an exclusive license, you are putting yourself also out of the mix, which means you cannot use it either. So only that licensee has the sole right to use that technology. And this is great if you want to maintain a close partnership and you want to give your licensee a competitive edge by being the only one with access, and you want to focus on some other research. It works great. But if you also want to be in the mix of developing that technology, then probably make sure that language is included in that agreement, licensing agreement. On the other hand, non-exclusive licensing allows multiple companies to use the technology. It can lead to a broader spread of your innovation, but there is a lower price point because now there are multiple players being involved. With licensing, we can also have cross-licensing deals, which happens usually with big tech companies. This is two companies which have complementary patents will agree to share their patents with each other. So one company has AI technology and the other has something complementary, like say data processing technology or some hardware. So they can give each other access to each other's patents, and this kind of collaboration now, with working together, they can enter new markets, they can speed up development, and they don't have to worry about risk of patent infringement, right? They don't have to worry about, oh my God, if I use this hardware or this processing tech, then that company is going to sue me. No, it doesn't happen because now everything is kosher. So it makes it a win-win thing. But let's say you don't want to be working on the technology anymore. You have a different research, you have your passion lies elsewhere. You can sell your patents outright. So in this scenario, the company that owns the AI patents or can sell it to another business or even to a patent acquisition entity. Basically, a company that buys patents to either use them or license them out later. This can be a great move if the original patent, or let's say I have AI patents and I don't have the resources to commercialize them, to commercialize the technology, or I want to work on something else. Then selling is faster than licensing because you get the lump sum upfront and you can move on. There are platforms and brokers. There are marketplaces where you can list your patents that specialize in helping companies find buyers for their patents. And finally, there are joint ventures and collaborations. It's a bit more hands-on. Here, company with AI patents partners with an established player in the industry to co-develop products using the patented technology. And this leads to faster commercialization because now you're combining your innovation with someone else's market presence, someone else's infrastructure, someone else's expertise. And it's a great way to get your patented tech into the hands of users more quickly, while also sharing risks, rewards, etc., everything quickly with a partner. So three points that we have: licensing, selling, or collaboration. And all of these work very successfully. There are people who guide you for each of these, and they are worth exploring in terms of commercialization. Okay. Now, we talked about having a lump sum, or we talked about having a price point, lower price point, higher price point. How do we decide on this price point? How do we know what is going to happen? Okay. So for that, we need to talk about valuation of AI patents. When it comes to valuing AI patents, that is affixing what is the value. Now, price does not always equal value, right? Price, value. So if I'm looking at value of something, it's going to be very different. If I'm looking at the value of my phone, I'm going to say it is 20,000 rupees. But if you are looking to buy the same phone, you're going to say it is 8,000 rupees, right? It depends on what is the sentiment, market sentiment, who are the players, etc. So when it comes to valuing AI patents, and I'm talking not this kind of valuation where I'm an interested party, but if I have to be an unbiased party and talk about valuation, I need to assess, I need to look at the market potential based on the size of the target market, what is the demand for the patented technology. Then I need to look at the licensing potential, how many companies could perhaps license the technology. And finally, I have to look at the use of valuation tools. So market potential is exactly what it sounds. Assessing what is the viability, commercial viability of this AI patent by looking at how big the target market is, right? Your TAM, and how much demand exists for this patented technology. For example, if it is a high growth industry like healthcare or autonomous vehicles, the market potential is going to be much higher. Companies need to evaluate, can this technology solve significant problems or improve efficiencies in that industry. The larger and more receptive the market, the higher the potential value of that patent. And this includes some unglamorous technologies as well. Like we may think that uh, recyclable water bottle or recycling of EV batteries and so on doesn't sound very glamorous, but how, as the main market grows of autonomous vehicles or EV vehicles, the whatever the supporting materials will also grow. That market will also grow in tandem. So then we have the licensing potential. We have first assessed the market potential. Then we look at how many companies would be interested in licensing this technology. If the patent has broad applications across multiple industries. Now, if I have an AI model for detecting the diseases only in a particular plant, let's say only in mango tree, then I'm talking of a very limited market. But if I'm talking about detection of diseases in all the grains or in wheat is a huge market, then I can look at how many companies would be interested in licensing the technology. Then more companies could potentially license it. That's what we're looking at. More buyers, more licensees. More widely applicable the technology, the more valuable it becomes. Now, companies or patent owners, whoever they are, need to consider not just who would benefit, but how many players are actually there in the market who would be willing to pay for the rights for this patented AI technology. And lastly, there are tools used for valuation. And I personally, when I'm valuing, I use a qualitative as well as a quantitative method. And the quantitative method would depend on where you are in your technology life cycle. But there are also patent analytic platforms such as IPlytics and PatSnap that help you in gauging the financial value of AI patents. They use predictive models to analyze things like patent citations, market trends, competitive landscapes, etc. And by processing vast amounts of data, these tools can give companies a clearer picture of a patent's financial worth. And they also provide insights into market dynamics. They help you identify potential licensing opportunities, thereby making your path to commercialization one step easier. When you have a price tag, now you've figured out what kind of commercialization you want to go in for. Now you have a price tag on your patent. So let's see who are the people in the market who have done successful AI patent commercialization. We are already familiar with some of these. IBM, NVIDIA is in the news every other day because of its increasing stocks. LinkedIn has a whole bunch of jokes about it, that if I had invested in NVIDIA stocks 10 years ago, I would be here, I would be there, and so on. They are all there. It's a bit of a jest, but also a lot of truth to it. We'll start with IBM Watson. IBM holds numerous patents related to the technology behind their AI platform, Watson. Watson is known for NLP, that's natural language processing, and ML, machine learning. Now, what's really interesting and what sets Watson apart is that how amazingly IBM has commercialized it across multiple industries. We're talking of healthcare, we're talking law, we're talking finance, and they have combined their commercialization strategies. They have used licensing and service model. So, for example, in healthcare, Watson's AI is used to help doctors with diagnostics and treatments, treatment recommendations by analyzing vast amounts of medical data. IBM licenses Watson technology to hospitals, to other medical institutions, thereby creating a recurring revenue stream. At the same time, they offer Watson as a service model where clients pay for access to Watson's AI capabilities. So this allows IBM to have access to diverse markets while continually evolving and expanding Watson's capabilities, and if you catch the interesting part, they're also training Watson while they're doing all of this revenue generation. Let's talk about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is known for AI especially in the recent days. It's AI patents in GPU architecture. And these GPUs, they're not, it used to be once upon a time that NVIDIA was known for gaming. But these GPUs are now not just for gaming anymore. They are the backbone of AI-driven industries. NVIDIA's AI patents have been successfully commercialized in autonomous vehicles, data centers, scientific research, and these GPUs are crucial for AI tasks that require heavy computation power, such as training deep learning models. Now, by protecting their GPU innovations through patents, NVIDIA has generated billions in revenue, which accounts for its amazing stock right now, positioning themselves as a leader in AI hardware. So they license their technologies to other companies. They sell their patented GPUs to industries that are AI reliant, whether you're talking about gaming or self-driven autonomous cars or AI-powered simulation. So they are generating revenue through their patents as well as through the technology that is covered by under the patents. So 2 for 1. And finally, we have Google. Google acquired a company, an AI company called DeepMind, and DeepMind is known. One of DeepMind's most famous examples is AlphaGo, which defeated the world champion at a game called Go. But the real impact of DeepMind's patents comes through Google's products. DeepMind's innovations, especially in reinforcement learning, they use it for energy optimization, they use it for healthcare, and interestingly, I was talking about how much the carbon footprint of ChatGPT, but Google uses DeepMind's AI to reduce the energy usage of its data centers by optimizing cooling systems. So it's doing something good for the planet as well. In healthcare, DeepMind is used to detect eye diseases, to improve treatment conditions, and these real world applications, right? They are the reason I'm talking about them. And these case studies by IBM, Watson, NVIDIA, and DeepMind is to show that it can have immediate impact in generating revenue as well as in creating a difference in whichever market that you're aiming at. So IBM, so they've all taken different paths, right? In commercialization, IBM goes a dual purpose, DeepMind goes another way, NVIDIA goes another way. But IBM leverages through licensing and services across industry. NVIDIA focuses on dominating the hardware, and DeepMinds are being commercialized through Google products. So they all have different methods of commercialization, but look at the wide range of possibilities that you have open to you to commercialize your AI patents into revenue generating assets. So we don't have to sit in a box and think that I only have this one way going forward. I can experiment and go switch between commercialization strategies depending on where I am in my growth life cycle, depending on where I am in my collaboration, and depending on where I want to be eventually with this AI product that I have, patent or group of patents that I have. So what is it that I'm looking? So this is the present now. What is it that I'm looking for in the future in terms of AI commercialization? Where is, if I can kind of pull the curtain aside and peek into what is going to happen and give you reading, I would say that of course, there is expansion of AI into new industries. It's not just limited to tech heavy fields. We know that. It's not just finance and healthcare anymore. It's moving into non-traditional sectors already, like agriculture, heavily into entertainment, logistics. So now this opens up new markets for AI commercialization, right? We already talked about AI used to detect diseases, but imagine AI being used to optimize crop yields on farm, or to power virtual characters in gaming and movies. Um, as your AI application broadens, the companies, the patent holders, I would say, in these areas will of course have more opportunities to license their technology to industries that may not have been traditional AI industries before. So we have a lot of exciting opportunities ahead of us to tap into fresh high growth markets that originally we would not have thought would use AI, but now are beginning to adopt AI on a large scale. We could also look into patent pools and standardization. Standardization works for electronics and telecommunication, but we could perhaps look at it for AI as well. Probably formation of patent pools where multiple companies all agree to share their AI patents. They pool it together, and all of the companies have access to that pool. The ones that have contributed. This way, they are not wasting their time and resources in litigation. It reduces the risk of litigation because that puts a huge drain on all your resources. And it also encourages innovation because now we are sharing rather than fighting. In telecommunication, of course, we have this kind of pooling, and it works excellent. And I don't see why we cannot bring the same into AI technology as well. And finally, we have the influence of AI regulations. There are a lot of people, a lot of groups right now who are starting to develop ethical AI standards. These regulations are going to have a huge impact on how AI patents are commercialized. If you are compliant with these regulations, you're going to see a huge increase in value. If you don't, then you're going to face restrictions. I'll give you a small example. If you go to DALI or ChatGPT or any of these generative AI, and you ask them to generate a figure or an image of a patent lawyer, let's say, it will invariably give you a white male sitting at a desk. And if you ask for a woman lawyer, it will usually show the woman as a secretary or someone subservient to the white male lawyer. If you ask for women of color, then it will give you people in hijab and bindi, which makes no sense. So there are ways in which AI has been fed data, and how it treats minorities, how it treats women, how it treats ethnic people. And when we have these groups that bring in the ethical AI standards, then your patents are going to have to comply with the guidelines laid down by the groups, or whichever body is in charge of making these rules. Now, for example, patents related to transparent AI models or those that improve data privacy could become more valuable as the government demands more ethical AI usage. On the other side, patents involving AI technologies that don't align with these data privacy standards, they may struggle to find a market, or they may need to modify their offering to meet these compliance and regulation requirements. So you need to keep an eye if you are going into commercialization yourself. You need to keep an eye on how these regulations are evolving, because there is something new happening in the AI world every day, every minute of the day. There are things that are happening. Finally, in my own field, like I'm looking inward, and I see that AI is being used to improve patent portfolio management as well. There are a lot of AI driven patent analytics to understand your entire portfolio. So if you as an institute have 50, 100, 1,000 patents, then you can use AI driven patent analytics to understand market trends, to enhance your valuations. And excuse me, you can, and we've talked about this before, you can use AI to analyze data sets, identify gaps in the market. And they can be, so I'm talking meta level, right? Patents to analyze patents. Um, and these are gaps. There are gaps in the market. You can spot untapped territories, opportunities, optimize your commercialization strategies. So use AI to commercialize AI patents more effectively, if that makes sense. And so I think we are heading into a future where AI patent commercialization is becoming more data driven, more collaborative, more diverse. And as AI expands into uncharted or non-traditional sectors, non-tech sectors, I would say, like fashion and agriculture and entertainment, patent pools should be formed, regulations should be laid down, and AI itself can be helpful in managing these patents and in managing the commercialization. So there is a lot to look forward to, and I think we are just at the nascent steps in this exciting journey of AI commercialization. I now thank you for being a fantastic audience, and I throw the floor open for questions for Pranay and myself.
Thank you, both of you. You have been a wonderful speaker, and I'm sure we learned a lot because we already have a question in the chat box. So, this question is for Pranay sir. Vinay says the embedded AI algorithm in the medical device and its processes to be upgraded with time. Does it need to be included in the patent for the device, or can it be filed separately as well from the device patent?
It can be both. It depends upon how the device functionality or outcome is interdependent or intertwined with the software or this algorithm. If the device is does maybe different at a higher level, different altogether functionality where the software is one component or AI is one component out of it, then we need to evaluate and see that, okay, we get a protection for a device in a broad level, but we also cover different features separately as they are evolving. That allows a scope for you to cover the entire portfolio around a device, even if you are not selling those, the R&D continues, and also license these either one piece or altogether as a portfolio when it comes to commercialization. But it depends upon what you are coming up and how much detailed you are coming up, and accordingly that strategy will be adopted.
Sure, sir. So again, a follow-up.
Yeah.
So would it make any difference if both the ideas like the AI and the hardware is patented together, or if it is a follow-up?
Normally we do. For every AI feature, there will be hardware in a patent attorney sense. So we cannot separate them altogether. But what I was saying is, for example, compare as a MRI device or X-ray device, right? Imaging devices. And then you have different components out of it. Each component may be licensed, for example. Definitely, we'll say software embedded in an imaging modality or imaging modality for something, having such a module. But it is all about your business positioning and so on and so forth. So accordingly, we will advise. I would not say yes to together and no to together, but rather it depends upon the case-to-case basis. It is in the interest of the business, also the budget. Sometimes you say, okay, I have tight budget, bundle everything, I don't care. Then we have to do it, like that. That's it.
Sir, just to add one thing.
Yes, sir.
When
Yes, sir.
one component is evolving in software and hardware cases, can the inventor file an patent of addition regarding that evolving component? Yeah.
Yes, that depends. Patent addition is a good thing, but only available in India. That's why I didn't mention it specifically. But the thing is that it also depends upon whether it is really a additional thing without significant inventive step. Patent of addition are filed only for a minor improvements, not for alternatives or major improvements.
So if that evolution contains any inventive step, then the inventor can go ahead with the patent of addition.
Yes, correct. Yeah, minor improvements. For example, how do I say, if you are coming with a battery technology for electric vehicles, and you are trying to say that, okay, maybe the connectors are made of certain material, and then you say that, okay, it gives a better efficiency by adding another material or gold plating, for example, just an example, So that plating you can file as a patent of addition, because alone it will not stand as a patent. So the patent office checks whether alone it would stand as a patent.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, Pranay, one question for you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, since AI is now becoming a very buzzword, and just not a word, in fact, it is contributing a lot in terms of new technologies that are coming at an interface of, I think you talk about any field, they are there, from healthcare to agriculture to space
Yes.
itself. So,
Yes.
what in terms of the laws that we have in India for protecting AI, what are the existing gaps which are still existing in our system, and what need to be done with respect to the laws and the framework which we have in other countries?
I would say, see, from a protection point of view, we are good. From an inventor point of view, uh, from our side, we feel that, okay, the examination needs to be more stringent. The quality of the patents has to be improved, thoroughly checked, and only valid patents should be granted. Because as Shalini mentioned, are we creating as a country a lot of junk patents? Is a question, right? So that internal administration, I feel this thing. Legally, we are part of the trade-related TRIPS agreement, trade-related aspect of intellectual property rights signed in 1993 or 5. So we are part of the World Intellectual Property Organization, the Patent Cooperation Treaty, and so on. So Indian Patent Office also works hand in hand with European and US Patent Office and Japanese Patent Office. So I would say that the laws are up to date. Ideally, they are mirroring to what the foreign laws are, but the practices need to get evolved. We are a young system, and also the court matters, court cases as they evolve. I think things will become stricter. So when filing patents, we need to look at 10 years or 20 years how your system will be evolving compared to just filing a patent and getting a grant. Everything is within the so bubble period, because government also want to show that a lot of grants are coming up, but the head of the patent office mentioned that they will focus on the quality next year. We are already seeing it in the examination reports and so on. So we need to see that how these things evolve, how things get stricter, and they will. So our patent applications or the prosecutions has to be of good quality. That's what I would say. And that comes from a good inventions. So when you are doing inventions, do not superficially envelop into or embed into an AI flavor, but rather try to also see how the AI works and the stuff. But I think from a patent law point of view, we are good at the point of time because we have done the comparative study several times, and I think we are up to date. The only delay was a concern. Now delays are also this thing. Minor nitty-gritty, certain things like Form 27 are there, but they are not so disturbing, at the moment, I would say. But those are from a
Sure.
legal point of view that as we see.
Sure.
I would be having another question. Sorry, we don't
No
have
problem.
like AI expert like you every day. So you got your access.
No
So
problem.
I would like to ask another question that you just mentioned that regarding one AI patent that is granted regarding lead generation in the real estate field.
Yes.
So when like AI algorithm software, it's a non-patentable subject matter in India, and there's another domain is business method. So when these two field they merge together, it's gets very difficult to get a patent, right? So one side you convince to the controller that okay, it's not mere algorithm, it's have some technical effect, and then he comes into the application part. Okay, he says, oh, this is regarding business method, and some hurdles is always there regarding this when these two field comes together. So how you see the challenge here, and what is your thought process here?
Yeah, so I think as Shalini also mentioned, right, that embedding of the technical layer, so the patent office are only interested in the technical effect. Are you solving a technical problem? When you looked at even the title, the productivity of the sales team is not a business matter. They are not saying how we are generating leads and getting more leads. Then it's a business model. So the focus was on you are improving through some means the productivity of the sales team, and that is AI. Now it may be saying that okay, where the leads lost, is it due to follow up? Is it due to this thing? So root cause analysis, right? So all these things, if we focus on more of a deeper aspects of the solution and not superficial aspects which are relating to improving the leads and also the software in a program or something like that, that is where I think the key is. So when it comes to, I'm not promoting myself or our business, but the thing is that the experienced attorneys will get it right. Now, if we talk about IP strategy, the experienced people will get it right. Everybody can talk about it because superficially, but I think when we interact with the inventor, what comes out of that conversation is more important, right? And if it is no, it is a no. When I said 100 patents we got granted, because I know exactly what I'm going for. We should not be trying to say that, okay, whatever is not patentable, going in that patent direction. So consultation in the beginning, agreeing on certain things, working together, right, to focus on the technical solution is very important. Right? Not just filing patents. This process is important in my eyes.
Sure. Thank you. I have one question for Dr. Shalini. Dr. Shalini, you mentioned about valuation of the patents, and you mentioned that there are various prediction models that decides or predicts the kind of valuation one patent can have. How does these prediction models are normalized with respect to the market trends? Are these practices followed in such, or the directly whatever the prediction model predicts the valuation, one goes by those norms?
See, first off, valuation is not an exact science. There's an artistic component also to it. So depending on who is doing the valuation, what is the purpose of the valuation, is there inherent, I may say that I'm doing the valuation for BITS, but what are my inherent biases? There is something in my mind about how I perceive BITS in my own past experience, which could creep into my valuation methodology. So in that sense, an AI-led valuation would definitely be preferable to a human-led valuation. But again, there are people who go shopping. They go forum shopping, they go valuation shopping. I know people who go to valuator A, then they bring that report to B and say, I got this from B, can you do from A, can you do better than this? In my opinion, that there is no right answer. And the valuation will depend on your technology. So pharma, how I value pharma will be very different from how I value telecommunications, will be very different from how I value mechanical. So to cut a long story short, it depends on your faith and trust in that valuation model. Like I said, people go shopping, they don't like the answer they get, so they go to someone else, The valuation model, AI model gets better with more data. Now, does it take into account, like ChatGPT is not connected to the internet. So I cannot ask it for a valuation, to do a valuation. But an ideal valuation model would look at would take into account every minute, the news from every minute. Because if I value a pharmaceutical patent now, and then 30 seconds later, there is the news that they did not get their approval for the drug, then that valuation is going to go to zero immediately. So I need to have a live model to be accurate. And then, of course, it's going to change from country to country. It's going to change from technology to technology. There are a lot of layers in this. I cannot give you one standard, like a one size fits all is not there in valuation. So I know that was a non-answer, but that is the best answer I have.
No, I think you very well placed it.
Comes
because,
from the experience, yeah. So we do not want to set those rules basically, because I think it comes with experience. Case to case is different, and that's the value, isn't it?
Right. Thanks for that. Just another question to Dr. Shalini. You touched upon the ethical issues and the data privacy related to AI models. Do you see any trend in terms of a policy framework that is being created in India with respect to ethical issues, considering that now a lot of cases have been cropped in, which are the misuse cases of AI?
Yeah. So there are a lot of conversations happening. I don't know if there is a policy going to be out anytime soon, but the right conversations are definitely happening on various forums, private as well as public.
I am aware of something the government of India is working on. They wanted to have a commercialization roundtable, and internally the discussions are there. And this comes from the head of the patent office. Basically, it's not so public, but it's not so confidential because I'm not talking about what they are going to do and when. But the thing is, okay, sooner or later, in a couple of months or year, so there will be some commercialization. Now we talk about Section 8 for startup and other stuff. So this is one step-by-step process along the roadmap because they need to see the value of the IP that is protected and the national wealth to convert into a national wealth from national intellectual property.
Yeah,
right?
but I
And
think
that is where the measure.
Rajeshji is asking about ethics, if there is anything for ethics.
Sorry, yeah, okay. So that was, I was talking about the commercialization thing.
So the conversations
I
on
think
both
it's good to
fronts
know
are
about.
happening.
Sure. And any?
I just have one more question for Shalini ma'am. That was wonderful session, ma'am. And I just want to ask one thing that you have mentioned regarding the technology development stage and the qualitative and quantitative methods that are there. So I'd just like to ask you at what stage, at what TRL you shift from this qualitative to quantitative perspective? Like at what TRL stage you should move to that change?
See, both would have to be done at some TRL level. It cannot be at 0, obviously. You need to be at least at a 2 or 3 for me to have a decent read of the qualitative analysis. And at least a TRL 3, but a higher one would be preferable for a quantitative analysis. Because if you show market readiness, if you show numbers, then then it's easier for me to pick a quantitative method to analyze your patent. But the qualitative one can be done even if you are not into the market. So I would say a TRL 2 for qualitative and a TRL 3 plus for quantitative, preferably a TRL 5.
Right. Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
So with this, we do not have any other questions even in the chat box. So if there are any follow-ups, if anybody wants to reach out to you speakers, we will facilitate that after the meeting. So Pranay ji, Shalini ji, thank you for a great presentation. So now with this, we move ahead with the next speaker, where we have a very dynamic professor, innovator, and a startup founder, Professor Vicky Butts. Professor Butts heads the Cognitive Neuroscience Lab at BITS-TEC Goa campus, researches the intersection of AI and neuroscience. As a co-founder of Evo Reality, he works on AR/VR solutions for dementia care, integrating theoretical research with practical applications to enhance the cognitive rehabilitation. In today's event, Professor Butts will be talking about his experience on navigating the intersection of AI and neuroscience, opportunities for neuroscience companies and startups. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, am I audible? No?
Yes, sir.
One minute.
We can see your slides, sir.
1 minute.
Okay, sure.
You can see, you can see the next slide also, right? There is some problem with the,
Yeah, but it is not in the slideshow mode. We can see the PowerPoint.
okay, 1 minute.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah, now we can.
See the second slide or no?
No, we're still on the first one. You move now. Maybe there's a time lag.
Yeah. There's some problem with the system here. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Anchal, for the kind introduction, and thank you so much. So, first of all, I'd like to thank BITS-TEC for this kind invite, and good afternoon, everyone. I am Vicky Watts. I am heading the Cognitive Neuroscience Lab and iBrain Learning Center at BITS Goa campus. So my talk will be what different from what Shalini and Pranay were talking. So basically, I'm a cognitive neuroscientist, and currently I'm working on four important areas. First one is on dementia detection from conversation transcripts, like where we use deep learning model to classify dementia into early stage, mild cognitive impairment, and full-fledged dementia. Second project is on AI and consumer neuroscience, where we are using, trying to develop multimodal scheme by combining the sentiment score with the neuroimaging data and trying to understand the consumer behavior and their buying patterns. Third project is on graph modeling, where we are trying to understand dementia using graph models. So you are aware that we have vast information about brain structure and function, but we have a very poor understanding about the exact relationship between this structure and function. So when you do graph modeling, then it becomes amenable to different kinds of mathematical analysis, and you can get better insights about what happens at the neuronal level when you are trying to understand dementia and Alzheimer. And fourth project is on brain-computer interface technology, which I'll be talking about today. So today my talk mainly will focus about my, so I can move it. I can see the slide, right? Second slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so I'll be talking about, the symbiotic relationship between AI and neuroscience. Then I'll also talk about my journey of AI and neuroscience research. Then I'll be talking about, different opportunities as far as neurotech and deep tech and AI, and how we can combine AI and neuroscience to, find some intervention strategies for several neurological disorders. So I'll talk about startup potential. And so first thing is about AI and neuroscience, they drive each other. Okay. If you analyze the history of artificial intelligence, you find all the tools like, in machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, statistical learning, they took idea from the working of human brain. So I'm not telling that, neuroscience is superior, but if you analyze the history of artificial intelligence, and if you minutely observe all the tools developed in machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, and statistical learning, they took idea from the working of human brain. And there are two ways by which neuroscience inspired us to build smart AI system. One that emulates human intelligence, like autonomous car by Tesla, and two, to build neural network which can mimic brain structure. Okay. So for better understanding and, to develop new and very innovative AI tool, neuroscience is very important. Understanding and insights from neuroscience will provide a very good understanding about how the new AI model will work. So here again, I'll be talking about that neuroscience. I'm not talking about the superiority of AI or neuroscience. All I'm talking about is that there should be a crosstalk between these two disciplines, where both researchers from both the domain, from AI and neuroscience, can interact so that they can get idea about to develop some novel AI models which can help finding some novel intervention strategy, or which can scan tons of neuroimaging data to provide insights about what happens at the neuronal level. So you can see there is a similarity between artificial neuron and biological neuron. You can see that you have dendrites, cell body, and synaptic connections. Similarly, if you see the architecture of artificial neural network, then you'll find that they have the input layer, the hidden layer, and the output layer. So there is a similarity. So dendrites, they correspond to the inputs. Cell body correspond to transfer functions, and axons, they correspond to neuronal output. And weight factors, they correspond to the synapses, which are there present in a neuron, or a simple neuron structure, you'll find that. So a biological neuron corresponds to a processor element in artificial neural network. So with this similarity, you can understand that if you have a better understanding of a working of human brain, then you will be able to develop some novel AI models which will have far better accuracy than existing methods which people are using. So now I'll be talking about my story with dementia, AI, ML, BCI technology, and society. So first, I'll be talking about the dementia research, about what we have done as far as dementia is concerned. It's a global challenge, right? As per the WHO data, I think there are 55 million people, they are having dementia, and every year we are adding some 11 million cases to this number. So if this trend will continue, then the next big pandemic will be on dementia or Alzheimer. So first, around 5 years back, we had this idea that why not to have something which is non-invasive and which will help in finding some novel intervention strategies to classify dementia. So we introduced a bimodal deep learning approach to Alzheimer's disease classification from spontaneous speech. And it's an important finding of the study is that the addition of targeted feature increases the performance in Alzheimer's disease detection in both language-based and acoustic-based models. So we have collaboration with Mental Health Institute, and we have collaboration with NIMHANS, where we get transcription of the conversation. Like when dementia people or dementia patients visit the psychiatrist, they record their conversation, okay? And once they record the conversation, we had access of those data, and from that data, we classified dementia into early stage dementia, mild cognitive impairment, and full-fledged dementia, okay? So this is only a classification. We are not providing any intervention strategies to tackle dementia or to manage dementia. We are simply telling that, okay, this is the speech, this person is having mild cognitive impairment, or this is the speech data. From that, we can use deep learning models and we can say, okay, this is early stage dementia. So it's not a big deal, right? We are simply classifying it. So we are not very satisfied, right? So then we thought that why not to use other discrete mathematical models to understand dementia? Like I said in the beginning about graph modeling. Okay, so graph modeling is very important. And I said that we have vast amount of information about brain structure and function, but a very poor understanding about the exact relationship. Okay, so we collect, there are neuroimaging methods by which you can collect neuroimaging data. Like, you have electroencephalography and you have functional magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, you can, by using this, you can collect and acquire the brain data, and you can convert those neuroimaging data into graphs and networks. Okay. So the beauty of this conversion is that when you convert those brain data into graphs and networks, it is just in the language of simple vertex and edges. You can say nodes or connections, right? Then the beauty of this conversion is that it is amenable to different kinds of mathematical analysis. You can build adjacency matrix, adjacency list, cycle matrix, path matrix, and so on. And when you have these numerical insights, then you'll have a better understanding about the cognitive processes. Okay, so we collected data from early stage patient, then mild cognitive impairment patient, and collected data from the full-fledged dementia. And we have those graph models, right? And we try to analyze those structure, the network topological structure, and we did network alignment as well, right? And while doing that network alignment, we found that in full-fledged dementia people, most of the connections are missing. Okay, so that's why they have problem with their memory, they have problem with their linguistic skills, they have problem with spatial navigation, and so on. So again, having converted, once you convert neuroimaging data into graphs and have a graph and network topological structure, then again we were able to decide that, okay, this is a early stage dementia, this is a mild cognitive impairment patient, and this is a full-fledged dementia. So again, we end up in, finding the classification technique where you are classifying dementia into different categories. So we were also not very satisfied with this work. Then we also thought of why not to explore different other technologies where, you can find solution for dementia care. So we published in Journal of Global Health Reports about technology for dementia care, where we are talking about benefits, opportunities, and concerns. And then we thought that we will, this is the publication which I was talking about, Alzheimer dementia detection using acoustic and linguistic features and pre-trained work. This also helped us in classifying dementia and detecting dementia, but not it is not providing any intervention strategies. Okay, so then we thought that why not to get into other technology like virtual reality and augmented reality technology, where we will be able to find and see whether what is happening at the neuronal level if a person is in the virtual environment, right? So we published a paper on experience of youths and older people with virtual reality games for cognitive assessment. It's an inductive thematic analysis and insights for key stakeholders. And we were able to see the benefits of, using virtual reality based methods for dementia assessment and finding some intervention strategies. So it's not only assessment, we are also trying to provide cognitive training as well, right? So it's like business opportunities are like buzz. There's always another one coming, right? So once we started with deep learning models to classify dementia into early stage, mild cognitive impairment, and full-fledged dementia, then we used graph modeling, where we converted neuroimaging data into graphs and networks, and then we analyzed those graphs and network, and we classified them again to early stage, mild cognitive impairment dementia, and full-fledged dementia. Then we were not satisfied because we are simply doing classifying it and we are detecting it. We are not providing any intervention strategies. So we thought that let's move to augmented reality and virtual reality technology, where we can provide game-based cognitive assessments. Okay, so we develop virtual reality, immersive and 3D mobile games, and then we have a goal-directed games where we developed a navigation game, hand-eye game, memory game, then activity of daily living games, right? Where activity of daily living means you have to do, go to park or buying grocery and doing some basic stuff in the kitchen. So we try to develop, we developed it and we started using it on the subject, right? So we thought that all this research, in the lab is fine, but how you can take your research from lab to the market or to the end users or to the, mainly our patients like in the hospital. So we thought, let's go to the hospital. Okay, let's go to the hospital and see what is happening, with them. And then it's a very challenging work in the beginning because we have to work with different stakeholders. Like we are working with psychiatrists, we are working with psychologists, we are working with game developers, software engineers, and research staff here at BITS-TEC Goa campus. So we collaborated with 2 hospitals where we thought, and we told them about our research. We told them about our research on AI and neuroscience, or how AI can help you in detecting and classifying dementia in different categories. Now we published it, we got cited also, but we are not very satisfied because we want to see like what is happening with the patient, right? So we collaborated them. In the beginning, it was very challenging, like getting the ethical clearance, because these are all human subjects and you cannot use your equipment to collect data from the human subject, right? So we had to take clearance, ethical clearance from our BITS-TEC Institute here at Goa campus. Then we have to get clearance from the hospital also, the ethical clearance. And now we are able to collect data from patients from two hospital. One is private and one is, public funded institute. And then we did this pilot and feasibility studies where we first did our experiment on young cohort and then old healthy cohort, and the old patient cohort, it's not upcoming. It's already like we have been collecting data from, I think, around 62 subjects. We have already collected data. And then we are trying to understand this data now. And we have got a very good feedback from both the patients, then psychiatrist, even the caretaker who is taking care of the dementia patient, and even from young cohort also. Like, it's dementia is something where people say that it's an old man disease, but it's not like that, right? You'll find it is highly debatable. The late 20s also and early 30s also, like you'll find some people, they have cognitive decline or cognitive deficits, right? So what we did, I'll show you a short video here. And I think these are with the patients. So you have seen this video. So it's an old video. Now we have collected data from 92 subjects. Those are all early stage, or you can say early stage dementia patient, right? And you have also seen the video where they were playing games, right? And they were moving the body. So one of the symptoms you'll find in these people, dementia patient, they lack motivation. They don't want to do anything in their life, right? So they think that everything is lost. They're confused. They become adamant, aggressive, right? So when you provide them the virtual environment, so we developed those virtual environment which provide them a very rich experience, okay? And they feel like there is a sense of presence. Also, the game which we have developed is very engaging, immersive, and very entertaining, right? And these are all goal-oriented games. When they play, they score something, they are being rewarded because they feel motivated also. So I'll tell you the story. You know what? The story is, I told you the WHO data, and also this data is an old statistics, right? Currently, they are claiming that 55 million people worldwide, they are living with dementia. And every year we are adding some 11 million cases to this number, right? And the Indian story is very, very scary. Okay. In the Indian context, you'll find the family members, they will, they will notice that this guy is finding difficulties with names or dates, right? Or he's forgetting stuff. He's having problem with linguistic skills. He's having problem with spatial navigation, or he's having problem with, visual processing or hand-eye coordination, stuff like that. Okay, and by the time they notice it, it is already late. So in the Indian context, that person will be taken by the whole family member to the psychiatrist. Okay, and the psychiatrist, they provide what? They will administer test, which is a paper pen based test to do the cognitive assessment to find out that whether this candidate or the subject is having dementia or Alzheimer or not. Okay, so there will be some questionnaire. One test is called mini mental state examination. One is called ACE3. One is called MOCA, that is Montreal Cognitive Assessment, right? So these are all paper pen based tests where they have to write about, let's say that they'll show some picture and they have to recognize picture, or they'll say 5 plus 5, what is the answer, something like that. So they have to pass that test, and there is some threshold, like let's say out of 30, they have to score 25. If it is below 25, then they will tell that this guy is having problem with his cognitive abilities, right? So now think about the context, think about the state of the mind of the patient. He's just, he's thinking that, my family member has taken me to this hospital. Why I'm being taken to the hospital? He's already lost, right? And then he is being administered those mini mental state examination and all those test batteries. And these are all paper pen based method, right? So this kind of test, they are biased because think about the state of mind of the person. He's already lost, confused, and he's being administered those tests, and then this test, they lack ecological validity. Okay, they lack ecological validity because it is not providing them the real world scenario or the real world social information. For your information, the real world social information or the real world information is very, very different from the lab setting or the clinical setting. So real world social information is multimodal, it is dynamic, and it is context based, right? So what we are doing, so we are trying and we're telling that these tests, which all psychiatrists and psychology, they administered to this dementia patient, these are biased and they lack ecological validity. So we are providing them the alternative where we are providing them game, we are providing them virtual environment where they can find all kind of social information, and we are providing them very engaging games where while they play the game, we record their processing speed, we record their hand-eye coordination, we try to understand their memory skills, we try to understand their short-term memory, we try to understand their short-term semantic memory, and so on, right? So then we thought that why not to, when we spoke or when we interacted with different stakeholders, we got a very positive feedback. You can see from that video, the patients were very happy playing our games, right? So it is motivating them, right? So we thought that why not to develop a tool? Okay, so you'll find that most of the cognitive or most of the neurological disorders or solution to these neurological disorders are either diagnostic or rehabilitative, and they require frequent hospital visits. So there is a need to develop a tool which can estimate the cognitive decline of an individual over the life course so that early anomalies in cognitive decline can be detected and proper clinical care can be taken. And also cognitive rehabilitation through serious games using state of the art technology is unexplored. And through this solution, we thought that why not to, register a company, and we register a company called Evo Reality. And you can see from this slide, the journey of Evo Reality, where we are trying to provide technological solutions, that is AR and VR based solutions for dementia patients, right? And our future roadmap is that in the dementia journey, we cannot alter the destination, but we can certainly have a huge impact on the journey. So I will move to the next tech, which also we are doing. It is called BCI, that is brain computer interface technology. And brain computer interface. So we also have a project. We completed a project where we were able to automate home appliances using BCI technology. Okay, so BCI technology is a technology which completely bypasses brain's normal output pathway of peripheral nerves and muscles. And this is the only technology by which, person suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or severe spinal cord injury, they can communicate or interact with their surroundings or their home setting. Okay, so this is the only technology which is available. And you know what? You wear simply the electrode, or you can headgear, and you can automate home appliances. So I'm not talking about it's a science fiction, it's a reality because of the advancement in the technology in AI, machine learning, and neurotech, right? So what we did in this study, in this work, so we filed a patent also where we develop a hybrid system, and this system combines two response. One is called SSBP and eye-blink artifacts, and it's a non-GUI implementation, and it is mainly, it has got a huge potential to help those with logged-in syndrome, right? So you can see this is an emotive device, okay? They have sensors, it's a 40-channel device, and it is non-invasive. You don't have to operate and put it on the gray matter of the brain, right? You simply wear it. It is wirelessly connected with the computer. It comes with a dongle, and we were able to, automate and control two appliances. One is table fan and table lamp using this technology. And this technology is totally non-invasive. You don't have to operate or put electrode on the gray matter of the human subject. So he's the participant. He was also one of the inventors of this technology, where we developed a technology to wirelessly, connecting this device with a computer and automated fan and lamp, right? So think about people suffering from disability, right? There is a motor mobility problem, or people having severe paralysis, or quadriplegic, or paraplegic, or people suffering from logged-in syndrome where whole muscle mobility is lost, right? So these people, their number, as per the, again, WHO data, there are around 15% of the people or population, they live with disability, right? So can we provide them some augmentative and alternative technology by which they can interact and communicate and lead a normal routine life? So this is the motive and objective of that project. And we were able to control and automate the home appliances using this technology called SSBP and eye-blink technology. So SSBP stands for steady state visual evoked potential, and eye-blink, when you are doing the recording, you have to blink your eyes, right? Or sometimes it is voluntary, sometimes it is involuntary, right? So we developed this technology, and this is the setup of the experiment where we use two devices, and we use it on 4 healthy subjects, 3 males and 1 female. And you can see the detection accuracy of SSBP and eye-blink artifacts and response time for all the subjects, right? So the key here is the algorithm which we developed is very, very robust. Okay. So in order to select a device, the user needs to look at the respective LEDs cluster, which is tied or which is attached to the lamp or the table fan. Okay. So in order to select a device, the user needs to look at the respective LEDs cluster so that easy data corresponding to that period time may show SSBP response. And the system also provides feedback to the user by pausing the flicker action for the duration of selection and thus causing the flicker action to stop. Okay. So let's say if this feedback appears at time t second, then the user can confirm his device selection by blinking his or her eyes 3 times by the time t plus 4 seconds. Okay. And this is done to ensure that SSBP based device selection was not done accidentally either by the subject or by the algorithm, thus making our system or our protocol very, very robust. So we published it in IEEE International Conference on Systems, Man, and Cybernetics, and then we filed a patent also. The patent is titled "A System and Method for Controlling a Plurality of Household Appliances." And this is very, very important because, as I said, that as per WHO data, around 15% of the people worldwide, I think they have this disability. And can we provide them some augmentative or alternative communication means so that they can interact and they can lead a normal routine life, and you can integrate them to the mainstream economy also, right? So that is the objective. So we also developed a technology, it's again SSBP based technology to control wheelchair, right? To wheelchair which is automated using the same technology called SSBP and eye-blink artifacts. Again, it's a hybrid technology. It combines SSBP and eye-blink artifact, where we were able to control the wheelchair, and it can move just simply looking at the LEDs. I can show you the movement if possible. You can see the wheelchair automation here. It's moving. And then we also published in same journal, IEEE International Conference on Systems, Man, and Cybernetics, where the paper titled "Wheelchair Automation by a Hybrid BCI System Using SSBP and eye-blink artifacts." Okay, so these are the technology which we developed, and we patented also, and now we are looking to license it, and also, this system should go to the end user, and they can provide them some alternative means and communication and augmentative technology which can help them to lead a normal routine life. Okay, the next opportunity in AI and consumer neuroscience, or AI and neuroscience, is about neuromarketing. Okay, so brain activity, you will have neuronal activity where brain neurons, they wire and fire together. Okay, then you have thoughts, then you have feelings, and finally you have behavior and actions, right? So the goal of consumer neuroscience is to predict consumer buying patterns, understand neural correlates of consumer behavior, motivation, and preferences, manipulate consumer preferences. So creative evidence-based advertising you can provide, then product development catered to heightened consumer buying, then impactful product marketing, right? So when you talk about marketing, so I'll tell you that, all top brains of this world, they're busy in doing only one thing. All top brains of this world, they're busy in doing only one thing. They'll make you to click something or like something. And there is a concept of like economy. Okay, when you like something, right? So based on your like, they will predict and they can do your psychological profiling. Okay, so whatever you're doing, your digital trail, I think this is again gold mine for people or tech companies like Google or Amazon and Meta and Apple, right? So they are watching you, right? They are watching you. They are seeing your online behavior, and from that they try to understand and try to do what your psychological profiling. Okay, so again, coming to the consumer neuroscience aspect, and an opportunity in consumer neuroscience, and when you merge or combine AI with neuroscience and consumer neuroscience, then there are lots of opportunities, right? So what, neuromarketing is something which is again coming up, where people are talking about using neuroimaging data to understand consumer buying patterns and buying behaviors, right? So traditional marketers, what they do, they will target focus group. So I'll tell you, I'll put it in a different way. Like, if a marketer wants to know how their product is doing in the market, they'll do what? They'll target the focus group and they'll take their feedback. Okay. Or they will send a questionnaire to the end users and they'll say, how do you like our product or services, right? This is the traditional and conventional way of, collecting data and understanding consumer their take and how they perceive about a particular product or service, right? This is a very traditional way of doing that marketing, right? To understand how their product or services is being perceived by the end user or the consumer. But there is a problem. Again, the problem with this conventional and traditional marketing is that it is again biased. People might like your product, but they might fake while you are sending questionnaire or while you are collecting feedback or while you are targeting the focus group to understand their perception about product and services, right? So, but when you use electrodes or neuroimaging or EEG or fMRI, you are directly picking in their brain. You are seeing because there is a like button on human brain. There is a like area on human brain. You cannot deceive brain. When you use electrode, when you use neuroimaging technology, it is very difficult to deceive the brain, right? So marketers are excited about neuroscience or neuroimaging for two reasons. One is called articulation, because people might not be very articulate about expressing their feelings about a product or service, and their brain contains hidden information about their true preferences, right? So when you use this neuroimaging technology, they'll get the idea about this information, and it can be used to influence their buying patterns and buying behavior. The second reason why marketers are excited about neuroimaging and neuroscience is that they strongly believe that this novel tool can provide them innovative methodologies to understand consumer perception, their buying behavior, buying patterns, and they can have something or product, which can be very, very, catchy, or which can be, you can sell it in the market before producing it in mass scale, right? You can have and you can test, do the neuroimaging studies, and you can understand the perception of the consumer. So this is one area where, lots of people are working, and we also have one industrial project where we are trying and providing the cognitive neuroscience perspective about consumer buying patterns and behavior, right? So we are doing ERP analysis where we are trying to understand event-related potential data, okay? And we can show the product with logo. This is one experiment for your understanding. We used it on 29 participants, and they like it or dislike it. We can see it and understand it with the ERP analysis, because there is a like area on the human brain and there is a dislike area on human brain, right? Then we also do what? Sentiment analysis. That is advanced artificial intelligence, where we are trying to build a multimodal scheme to understand consumer buying patterns and behavior, right? So it's a EEG-based sentiment analysis in consumer neuroscience, where you can see we have done the EEG processing, we have extracted the feature, then done the correlation-based subset selection, then we have done the regression analysis, and then you can find the emotional rating of a particular ad, okay? So it's a natural language processing based sentiment analysis. Like I'll tell you, most of the company, like, you have companies, those provide market intelligence to their client, like Fractal, like Post5 Intelligence. These are some of the companies, they provide market intelligence to their client. And most of these companies, they are using advanced AI and, natural language processing to understand the sentiment of people, right? So what they do, they automatically, they get the real-time sentiment data on customer product, review and comments, and then it's a evidence-based marketing decision they make, right? So what we are trying to do is so problem with sentiment analysis is what? Let's say I'll give you an example. People write about their experiences, their, perception about a product or service on, let's say, review forum on, let's say, Amazon. Okay. So someone will write, thank you so much for the product, right? So all this textual information you can collect, you can scrap using powerful Python APIs, and you can convert them into different categories, whether it's a positive sentiment or negative sentiment or neutrality, right? Let's say I'm giving you one example, like someone wrote on the review forum, thank you so much for the product, right? So it is a positive sentiment or negative sentiment or neutrality. You can't make it. He might write it sarcastically also, right? So it's very difficult. So this is some of the challenges where you'll find natural language processing or sentiment score will give you, right? These are something challenging. But when you use neuroimaging technology, then it's very difficult to deceive, right? So we are trying to combine what? We are trying to combine the neuroimaging data with the sentiment score data and try to build a multimodal scheme to understand consumer buying patterns, their buying behavior. So that is one area where you'll find lots of opportunities in this domain where people are combining AI and consumer neuroscience to understand consumer buying patterns and buying behavior. The next is on AI and speech processing, which I told you in the beginning of my lecture, where we were able to detect dementia from, using deep learning models, right? So language impairments are associated with dementia, can serve as an early indicators of cognitive decline, right? Then previous research have, you'll have lots of linguistic data sets where you have, dementia bank data set, then anti-US data set, and you can classify those data. And even if you can get real-time data also where you can classify using deep learning models, right? So you'll find important. And then there are other neurological disorders. It's not only dementia, right? If you have the speech data and you can use AI models to classify them, whether this person is having Parkinson, even somebody is clinically depressed, you can use those data, speech data of a depressed person, and use your AI models to see whether this person is clinically depressed or not. So this is also one example where you'll find opportunities to start some venture where you can combine AI and speech processing data to understand different kinds of neurological disorders, whether it's a clinically depressed person or Parkinson or dementia. Now, I told you that about the future. Future, people talk about machine intelligence, human level intelligence or human level intelligence. It is already, achieving that kind of accuracy. And one thing which I like to emphasize here is about understanding of neuroscience or understanding of cognition process or cognitive process is very, very important. I'll tell you one example, right? If you look at the image of a cat, you know that it's an image of a cat because you have seen so many image or cat in your lives, right? Similarly, the neural network also, they feed lots of image of the cat, so it recognizes that. So that kind of pattern recognition happens likewise, right? So understanding neuroscience or cognitive neuroscience will pave way or will open doors where you will find some novel or you will be able to develop some innovative AI models. Okay, so before I conclude, I like to tell more about the opportunities. Like I have already spoken about different kinds of opportunities in different domain. Like you have BCI technology, brain computer interface technology, where you can use neurotech, neuroimaging data, and neuroimaging methods to automate and control home appliances for people having severe disability. That is one opportunity. One opportunity is on AI and consumer neuroscience, where you'll analyze the sentiment data or sentiment score and use neuroimaging data to build a smart or multimodal scheme which can help you understanding consumer buying patterns and buying behavior. One startup which already I'm part of that is Evo Reality, where we are using virtual reality and game-based solutions for understanding the cognitive processes or for understanding or providing cognitive assessment. And it's not only cognitive assessment, we are also providing cognitive training, right? If you play more games, right, so it improves or it makes you or the brain makes different synaptic connections, and it is good for your brain health, and you will be cognitively, you will be healthy, right? So before I conclude, I will tell you my thought process. Like everybody is now excited about artificial intelligence. Now, I'll tell you that emotional intelligence is also very, very important, right? So as per the World Economic Forum, it says that success in professional life or personal life is not only about technical expertise or your expertise in AI or reinforcement learning or deep learning. Okay, so success in your professional life is not only about your expertise in different areas of, let's say, artificial intelligence. It's more about your emotional intelligence, how you manage your emotions, right? How you control your emotions. That is very, very important. And there are different pillars of emotional intelligence. So one is self-awareness. Self-awareness means identifying your own emotions and controlling your negative emotions and focusing on positive emotions, right? So if you focus on positive emotions, the neuroscience says that it releases dopamine, and which is a happy hormone, right? And you'll feel happy. Whole blood chemistry changes, whole neurochemistry changes, and you feel more happy, right? When you focus on positive thoughts. Then when you focus on negative thoughts, then brain releases chemicals which enhances your anxiety, then depression and fear, right? So that is one aspect of emotional intelligence. The second one is self-regulation. Self-regulation talks about, everybody can be angry, but to be angry with the right person in a right way, in a right intensity, that is very, very difficult. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So you have to regulate your, anger and thought process, right? That is very important. Then is empathy. Third pillar is empathy. You should have, feeling for others, right? So when you have feeling for others, or let's say you are helping others, it's not the person who is being helped, he is okay or he is happy. You will also feel happy because it elevates your mood. Because again, it's neurochemistry changes, blood chemistry changes. Then social skills. So you all know the importance of, social cognitive skills, or somebody who is having lots of connections or networking, it helps, right? Then motivation. Motivation is always important, like purpose in life, right? So, emotional intelligence is very, very important. You need to understand that. So this, I'd like to stop my talk here, conclude my talk here, and if you have any questions, very happy to take questions. So thank you so much for your attention and patience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your talk, sir. It was very informative. One question, although not in the chat box, but how easy and or difficult is it for you to get grants or funds for startups like yours?
Yeah, so I like to tell you that, when you do research or develop technology in the domain of neuroscience, so it's a very, time consuming, and it's a very complex process, right? So it's not easy, right? So most of in the Indian ecosystem, you'll find Indio startup ecosystem, you'll find people mainly, they put money where they get return on investment very fast, right? But it is time consuming. The research is it's a very research centric job. It's you cannot make or develop. We are not simply developing app, because if we are developing games, we have to talk to the psychiatrist, we have to talk to the caretaker, even we have to interact with the patient, we have to interact with the research staff, we have to talk with the game developer, right? So it's a complex process, right? So it's the app also we are developing. We have to interact with different stakeholders, and there you have to take their feedback. Then again, you have to try this on the subject or the patient, and then you, after getting the feedback, so it takes time, right? But most of the investors, they think, they're worried about the return on investment. They want it fast, right? So but there are impact investors where you'll find, if you are developing something which has relevance to the society, like finding some intervention studies for dementia, it's very important. It is very relevant for the society. It's the need of the hour, right? So there are impact investors also who are really, like, we are in touch with them also, and hopefully we'll get some big funding also for that.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Butts. Just a follow-up question on this. I understand that you have developed this technology in an academic system, and then to make the higher impact, you have created a venture around the intellectual property that you have created out of it. So traveling this path from academic technology and bringing it to a point where it has a value to contribute to the ecosystem by providing the right health sets to the patients who are suffering from these diseases itself. How do you think this translational system from academia to startup, what are those gaps that you need to address? It could be in funding is one of the other thing, but what are the other those challenges which you feel and should be addressed by the ecosystem? It could be a government agency or from academic system as well?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think we are into medtech and developing technology for dementia. And uh, first of all, I think there is no awareness. The first challenge I faced, I have been working with NIMHANS, the top neuroscience research institute of India, right? Most of the high-profile cases related to, any neurological disorder is being referred to NIMHANS. So it's about adoption of technology. And also most of the government hospitals, you'll find that doctors, they are overworked. They're overburdened with patients, right? So I have, some guy who is heading the geriatric center at NIMHANS. He told me, Vicky, we don't get time to, do research. From 9 to 5, I have to deal with the patient. And deal with the patient means, what kind of patient? Dementia patient, right? They are very difficult to handle, right? So the first thing I'd like to say, adoption of technology. Most of the psychiatry, with due respect to psychiatrists or doctors, medical doctors, they are very skeptical about adopting technology. I have never seen some doctor or psychiatrist using AI models to understand brain data, or I have never seen people using, most of the doctors using AI models to understand breast cancer data, right? So first problem is adoption of technology. Second is most of the public funded government issues, they have lots of data, right? So data sharing also very, very important. So they are very skeptical about sharing data. Number two, first is adoption of technology. They are skeptical about technology. Second is data sharing. Third is they are overworked. So these are some of the things which I experienced while interacting and collaborating and doing research with medical hospitals. Yeah.
Sure. Another question which is on the other side, when you design an AI model to work for a specific function, for example, the customer preference, to know about their psychology, how what they prefer and what they not, what are those checkpoints which help you realize that the AI model that you have developed is working right? Because there could be a possibility that the model that you have developed, they might have some bugs which is not giving the right answers in terms of the preference which customer might be putting in. So what are those points that help you realize that the model is not going right?
Yeah. So I think one example I gave while talking about that AI and consumer neuroscience, where, the company guy, they contacted our lab, cognitive neuroscience lab, and they funded also one project. And they were telling that one example I gave, that someone writes. So what they do, most of this company, they do sentiment analysis, natural language processing, right? And they classify those data into positive emotions, negative emotions, and neutrality. And they sell this to their client. Hey, these are the review forum data. We have done this analysis. We have used our natural language processing model, and we have used AI models, and we have classified them into positive emotions, negative emotions, and neutrality, right? So sometimes the big challenge is, like someone writes that example which I gave, that thank you so much for the product. So someone will write it sarcastically also. So it's very difficult to understand the emotion only directly from the textual data or from the review forum. So now why not to use neuroimaging? When you put electrode and see what is happening inside the brain, then that will give you. So that is the reason they contacted us, and they try to understand the cognitive neuroscience perspective of consumer buying patterns, or understanding their perception, how they perceive our product, how they, look at us, and how whether our strategy, marketing strategy is working or not. So that is one thing I like to tell you. I have already told about that also.
Sure. Thank you so much. Any other question? Okay. So there are no questions, but just one last question which I want to take to you. You mentioned your journey up from academia to startup. Now your startup is working on a model where you're also looking for raising funds from impact investors and other ecosystem stakeholders. How do you perceive, and thank you for putting up that thought that there are a lot of challenges at the translational end as well, because doctors are not aware, and adoption is one of the most critical factor. But how do you see the adoption with respect to the patient for such kind of technologies while you were performing these trials at the hospital?
Yeah, so I have already shown it in our video where you find that early stage patient, they were very happy moving their body and all those things. So we have interacted with those patients and they were telling, yeah, very, very, very engaging. And they were playing like, kid, and even the caretaker, they were very happy that we have never seen smile on their face. Okay. So that was the trigger when we thought that so we are now trying to get into the third hospital because of that smile on the face of early stage dementia patient, right? So prelim feedback is it is working, and if you are providing them very meaningful and engaging goal oriented games, then I think it is motivating them. So they feel like playing it, and when they play it, we compute their processing speed, and eye coordination, and their semantic memory, other stuff as well.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Wirtz, and I really appreciate the kind of innovations you are bringing to the market. And we wish that your innovation reach to masses and solve their health problem itself. So thank you so much for giving us your time today and taking us across the journey, your journey from academia to any startup and bringing these innovative products to the market itself. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you so much, Rajneesh, Sanchal, and all BITS-TEC team for organizing this. It was my pleasure to, talk about and share my thought process on my startup and my research journey. Thank you so much for the kind invitation, and I look forward to have more interactions with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure. So before we close, we would just like to take another 1 minute to show what kind of services BITS-TEC is offering to the ecosystem, whether these are startups or academicians or MSME who want to take some intellectual property services. BITS-TEC provides a very comprehensive set of services to all the stakeholders at a very nominal cost, which they can avail. They can directly reach out to us. So I just hand over it to Mr. Sahil, who's taking care of all these services at our end.
Thank you very much, Rajni sir. First of all, I'd like to take you through what are the resources available right now in the BITS-TEC. So if you have any technology and you are struggling with the technology readiness level and investment readiness level, so in our website, we have created these two tools. One is a technology readiness level calculator, and another one is investment readiness level calculator. So you can just explore and you can assess your technology. Then we have another two databases. One is Rajasthan expert databases, where you can explore the different expert in the particular research domain, and you can connect with them. Then there is another database called Rajasthan IP dashboard, where you can list your IP, and there are 1,500 technology which are already patented in the state of Rajasthan are available in this database, and you can just go and explore what are the different technologies right now available. Then coming to the services, we have right now we have like patent related services like patentability search, provisional patent drafting, patent filing assistance at IPO. Then we have also added the design validation search and design filing at the IPO, and we also provide trademark validation search as well as trademark filing at IPO. So if you need any kind of handholding regarding your IP, your technology, from start to end, we are here in the BITS-TEC to help you. And so in BITS-TEC, we offer you IP and tech support, as well as like startup mentoring, technology showcasing support. And if you need any commercialization support also, we'll provide. So you can just scan, and also you can write us to this particular email, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahil. And now I hand over to Dr. Bhavishya for the vote of thanks for today's session.
First of all, I would like to thank Department of Science and Technology for their financial support in form of the Technology Enabling Center at BITS Pilani. Thereafter, I also would like to show our sincere gratitude to the senior leadership at BITS Pilani for making these events happen in a very nice way. Then I would like to thank all our insightful speakers who gave a very informative and engaging talk today, starting from Mr. Pranay Gaonkar, Dr. Shalini, as well as Professor Vicky Vaz. Then I would like to thank my team, Achal, Rajneesh sir, Professor Chitkara sir, and Sahil for making this happen in a wonderful way. And I hope I'm not missing out any. I'm extremely delighted to have everyone over here who was a part of the audience. Because of this, because of you, I think this event was successful. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Being here.
One last question, if anybody can answer. How to connect the patent to market products?
Rajesh sir, you have to take the
How
question.
to connect the?
Patent to market products.
So I think I'm just not clear with the question that is asked for, but I am understanding that you might be asking how the patents could be commercialized to any existing company or a startup company itself. I think there's a set process around it, but yes, it's more of a tedious process where we generate a patent, let's say from an academic system. We have established tech transfer office at BITS Pilani, and we do take care of commercialization of the patents that is coming out of the research from BITS Pilani. As an initial step, we try to see during the research part of it, what could be the potential of those applications from that research. If we feel that it is something very critical, we advise our innovators, faculties to go for the protection as soon as possible. Once the patent is filed, we start looking for interested parties who could be a potential licensee or who could be a potential collaborator at an early stage. Sometimes the research that we are doing are at an early stage, but they have good market prospects. So industry might like the idea, but may not like to partner it at that stage of time. So in order to generate the interest, it's better to show what kind of research you are doing. That's a part of science communication, where you sensitize the ecosystem industry about your work happening in the university itself. It helps industries to come forward to see what exactly you are doing. If industry is really interested to come at a very early stage, they will advise you on some of the aspects which are related to market that can help you come out with a product with some features or a prototype which is very near to a marketable product and requirement of the market itself. In the latest stages as well, industry comes and looks for the technology. It's better to have the technology at a good TRL level, but in the academic system, there is always a challenge as most of the technologies are developed at a TRL level of 3 to maximum to 5. But that does not deter sometimes an interested industry to collaborate at that stage as well. So once the interest has been created, you need to understand the requirement of the industry, what exactly they are looking of it. Do you have the right set of technologies with you to match with their requirement? If it is not, can industry come in and pitch in some certain amount to pivot that technology as per their requirement? It could be through a joint technology development project where the company funds some component of the research, and they also want to have the technology license in the name of their company. Such models are, I would say, have high chances of success because industry is already there to support that project and take it forward. Based on that, we discuss the terms of references, the terms of commercialization, which has upfront fees, royalties, the territory where you want the company to allow to create a commercial model, whether you want to give them the right within India or outside India. And there could be another possibilities if it is a platform technology that can do multiple functions, you can decide on which function to give the right for commercialization and keep the rest of the functions for commercialization to another companies itself. So that's the strategy one tech transfer office need to decide on. It's a tedious process because it requires a lot of discussion, a lot of working with the industry, and sometimes there are chances that after discussing and putting to so much of time, the deals somehow does not work out. But the best way to do so is try to first understand the requirement of the industry itself. At the end of the day, we as an academic system develop a lot of innovation, lot of concepts which has a value in the market, but they are at an early stage. Industry is one who will be commercializing that technology and will be putting in a lot of effort to improve that technology to bring to a level where it has the market acceptability. So I think if those negotiations, those understandings are created in a very conducive way, there could be a possibly win-win situation to take your innovation from academia to the market itself. I hope I have answered your question around it. But if you have any very specific question, please do feel free to write to our tech portal. We will glad to respond you with reasonable answers in case you need any help around it.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So finally, with everything done, we would like to conclude today's session. We would like to thank all the participants for joining us. As said previously, if you want to get in touch with any of our featured speakers or team members, please feel free to reach out to us. If you have any comments or suggestions for our next episodes, also communicate over email. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.